Javier, are there people I need to wait for to come into the
Uh,
room?
we are live. The attendees are now populating.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I am going to hold up just a few seconds as I see people coming in. Thank you for joining us. We are going to talk about CyberHer at Dakota State University. We still have quite a few participants coming in, so I am going to wait just a few seconds until that number stops climbing to get started. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today to talk about the increase that we've had in women studying computer and cyber sciences at Dakota State University. We're going to discuss our CyberHer program and what we've been doing over the last 7 years to engage and support more girls. We know that we go further together, and CyberHer was founded by Dr. Pam Rowland and I 7 years ago here at Dakota State University. And since then, we've been able to elevate our program with the phenomenal team of Katie Shook and Kanti Norakonda. And Katie and Kanti are both PhD students at Dakota State University, but they are extremely important part of our programming and help advance everything we do. So they are here with us today to talk about CyberHer and what it is that we're doing. A white guy in glasses. A few years ago, Gallup conducted a poll nationwide asking people of all ages, races, and backgrounds, what does a computer scientist look like? And the overwhelming response was a white guy in glasses. Now, stereotypes prevail in many industries, and our field of cybersecurity is no different. The field is incredibly exciting, and women have innate characteristics that make them successful in this space. But we have to get past their stereotypes and introduce the field to girls so that way we can have more women. Throughout our career, I had 5 words that I heard over and over that really changed the entire trajectory of my professional career. They are just not interested. I heard this phrase more times than I can count and more times than I care to remember. Typically, someone with good intentions would look around the room and they would see all men and one woman. And they would rightfully so ask the question, where are the women? Now, without hesitation, people would just say they're just not interested. Now, inside, I knew that that wasn't true. I knew that women were interested, but maybe what we're creating doesn't interest them. And so maybe if we looked at the problem a little bit different, we could create a program for girls to explore cybersecurity. So that phrase kicked off the next 10 years of my career, working with my partner, Dr. Pam Rowland, to create a program for girls to learn about cybersecurity. Now, we know that in order to get more women in cybersecurity, we need to get more girls interested. It's been shown that by the time a high school girl is in grades 9 through 12, that they've already decided if a career in STEM is for them. And so we have a narrow window to impact them, and that's during middle school. So that's where we decided to focus our efforts with the CyberHer program at Dakota State. Now, what happened is that my partner Pam and I, we wanted to take different aspects of different things that we did and formulate them into one year-round program. And so we had different grants from the American Association for the University of Women, from the NSA, from the NSF, and we brought them together as a collective whole so that way we didn't have one-off programs, we had an entire program. And we have our mission to empower, motivate, educate, and change the perception of girls and women in cybersecurity. And we have 2 guiding principles to do that. First, we don't talk about the problem. when we're at conferences like this, we talk about the challenges and the problem, but when we get in front of the middle school girls, we don't even address it. We do not talk about it. Because when they're in middle school, they're trying to fit in, they're trying to figure out who they are. And if we go in a room and say, for every 10 of you, there would only be one of you that's a woman in this field, it's something else that makes them weird, if you will. And so we don't even bring it up. Now, the second guiding principle is that we don't lecture, we focus on hands-on activities. So within cybersecurity, my field specifically is digital forensics. So instead of lecturing to the girls about being careful about the digital content that they create, we instead show them what they create and what not to do with it. So we'll take flash drives and we salt the flash drive with representative data. So text messages, images, emails, snaps, social media posts, all sorts of different things. And then we delete it. And we give it to the girls in the classroom and have them recover all that data. They plug them in and they see that there's nothing on it. And then we take them through the steps to recover the data and then ask them, so did you realize that when you delete that text, we can still get it back? Did you realize deleting that picture from your phone doesn't truly delete it? What about that snap or that post or that email? So then we talk about, well, should we be making those things anyways? And so getting that social responsibility to empower them within this space is definitely important. We're trying to build a cybersecurity mindset that makes security as common as personal hygiene when we do these activities. Another area that is important for hands-on is credential management and passwords. Now, if we went into a classroom of 40 kids and started talking about the importance of strong passwords, we're going to lose them pretty quick. But instead, we bring in systems and we ask them, have you ever cracked a password before? And that gets their interest right away. And they think, what? We're going to be cracking passwords today? And so we take them through the process of cracking the word password. And they can see that it takes a fraction of a millisecond to do that. And then we ask them to make one that takes longer to crack. That's the instruction. Make a password that takes longer to crack. And so then they start making really long phrases, adding in special characters, non-dictionary words, numbers, uppercase, lowercase. And we use the algorithm to understand how long it would take to crack that password with current computing powers. So once it gets to like 300 years, yeah, that's a pretty strong password. And so then we ask this group, we ask these 40 students, what makes a strong password? And they're eager to tell us what it was and why it took longer for that to crack. And so iteration by iteration, these kids have figured out why and how to make a strong password. And that to me is what has been paramount with this program. We don't want to go in and say, hey, you're underrepresented and lecture about a password. We instead want to show them, here is an awesome woman who's doing great things in cybersecurity. And she's going to teach you today how to crack a password so you know how to make a strong password. So we've just really truly flipped it from a pure academic process to, making security as common as personal hygiene. One of the things with this program is that we created it because there wasn't a seat for us at the table. And we know that as we go along in our career, that we're not just making a table, we have a hand back to bring others with us. And so that table can look like different things at different times in your life. Oh, I can see, there's Katie right there. I'm not sure where Kanti is, probably on this side. But in 2013, the National Security Agency started hosting summer camps to get kids interested in cybersecurity, hoping that they would ultimately study it at college, then become professionals. They recognize a large gap between open positions and available professionals. And so this was their attempt to get more people interested into the space. Now, Dakota State University held a co-ed camp. And of that co-ed camp, 90% were men. When the NSA designation was on campus to evaluate our camp, I started to quietly lobby for a girls only camp. And they asked me why I would need a girls only camp if we only had 10% representation at this camp. That was an excellent question, and one I don't think I fully had an articulated answer to. But I felt that if we created something for girls, that girls would be interested. The NSA asked me how many women they thought I could get at the camp. And I confidently said, I can get 60 girls at this camp. Now, inside, I didn't believe myself. I wasn't sure. And I'm not sure anyone else in the room believed me either. But I did know that this was my shot. So a short while later, I received notice from the NSA that they were going to fund a pilot camp for 2014 for 60 females to study cybersecurity. And we all know what we use with the term pilot. If we don't know if it's going to be successful, we don't want to fully invest. And that's okay. But we knew that this was our shot, and we knew this is going to be a camp that we wanted to run. So we opened registration. We sent a few emails on to people that we visited classrooms, people that come to our events, people that requested things of us. And from there, we went through and decided to see where things went. And I told myself, Ashley, you have to wait 2 weeks before you look at registration. Because I knew it's like waiting for a test result when you're a student, right? You go on, did I pass my comps? Did I pass my comps? And you wait and wait and wait. Well, I didn't want to drive myself nuts with that. So I said 2 weeks, I'm not going to look, and then I'll look. So at the end of that 2 week period, I think I probably had, some cold sweat and just a stomach ache waiting to go and take a look. And I went to registration, I looked, and we had 180 girls registered. 180. From hearing girls are just not interested and thinking that we wouldn't have enough people to fill that camp, to the fact that we had 3 times more than we could admit. I mean, that to me was just incredible. And so that actually kicked off a part of the fundraising that we did for our camp, because I went from, do we have enough, to how can I get more resources to support more girls? And so that's what I did. I went and met with SDN Communications here in South Dakota. And I said, hey, we got funding for a camp of 60. I think I could run a camp of 100 really well. How about you give us some money to go from 60 to 100? And they said, yeah, how much do you need? And that's how that all started. And so 7 years later, we have impacted over 23,000 girls. And we've raised and had grants of over $1 million for the initiatives for these CyPR programs. So there wasn't a table for us, but we created one, and we saw that others wanted to sit at that table too. So we needed to make it bigger, and that was a good thing. It's like cloud on demand storage, right? Scalable. So that table can look like different things at different times. And this is our CyPR Club first kickoff meeting from last fall. So you see all of these wonderful women. And my little daughter, Chloe, you can see her as we go along. I bring her to all these things. I think she needs to see it. And so this is when we could meet in person last fall. But what it is all of these women are in the classrooms. They're the ones that are going into the classrooms now. Went from Pam and I to now all of these women in the near peer mentoring model. These middle school and high school girls can see someone who's just a little bit older than them, and they think, hey, you're cool. I want to be like you. They look at us and think, hey, you're a little old. I'm not sure. So that's, that table is, here's another table that we have. And then this is one of my favorite tables. It's WISUS, Women in Cybersecurity. I've been fortunate enough to be a co-program chair with Amberine Siraj from Tennessee Tech, who's the founder, and helping develop that. And we bring DSU women to that. Last year, we had 20 that were going to be coming with us. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, it went virtual, but we will be bringing with us again. But every year, Conti and Katie, Pam and I, we take as many undergraduate and graduate women that we can studying cybersecurity. So that's a little bit about the CyPR program, why we started, when we started. And now I'm going to turn it over to Conti, who's going to talk to you about two aspects of our program.
Thank you, Ashley. So you've all seen the statement in there, right? If there's no seat at the table, then you make another table. So the question with organizing or with encouraging and motivating all these young women to pursue cybersecurity then becomes, how do you show them to make another table? So this is where our Cyber Days and our Cyber Camp and our Cyber Together, Cyber Seconds and Cyber Minutes come into play. Cyber Seconds and Minutes are mostly social media posts that don't take more than 1 minute for the viewer to look at. So we are always engaged in a conversation with our community, with our young students. And Cyber Days, on the other hand, they're my favorite, I have to admit. This is where we get to do outreach events. So these Cyber Day events, they focus, or they're held in schools and science centers and libraries and the like. And we partner with different organizations to bring these events to these young kids. So we partner with Girl Scouts, we partner with WESIS, and so many more other organizations. So what we essentially do during these outreach events is we bring our robots with us and we bring our iPads. They're our biggest hits, but that doesn't mean that we only focus on showing them how to code with robots. We also encourage them to look into other aspects of cybersecurity. For example, we have a Harry Potter challenge. It's more of a cryptography challenge, and it's by far my absolute favorite. I love Harry Potter, and so we found this great little puzzle. I say little, but it's really not. It's good. And we found this when we were looking for resources to engage our campers. And it was actually developed by the Gen Cyber team at Tennessee Tech. And when we asked them, they gave us their permission to use it. So this challenge focuses on cryptography. It allows the kids to learn more about Morse code and figuring out riddles and all of that stuff. We also have another challenge called the Escape Room Challenge. So this Escape Room Challenge is essentially the students trying to figure out who the target is, where something is happening, and what time something is happening. Again, it focuses on cryptography. That's not to say that we only focus on cryptography. We also host Maker Days and Breaker Days. Earlier this year, we hosted a Maker Day called Wobblebot Day. So we had a group of about 40 young girls all gathered together at the DSU campus, and we helped them, or we guided them in building little Wobblebots. So that was a Maker Day, something that they could make with their own hands. And likewise, last year, we hosted another Maker Day where we built notifiers. So if the door is open for like 30 seconds or so, that little device will send notifications to your phone saying, hi, your front door is open, or this so-and-so door is open. And during the same event, we also helped them build smoke alarm notifiers. That was a big hit, and we loved every part of it. So schools and other venues, they can request for an outreach event from us by going through our website, cyber.org. And on there, you will find a web page that will allow you to request a visit from us. And while we normally focus on a 4-state area, we also have held events across the country. Like I previously mentioned, at WESIS, it was not held in the 4-state area, but we were able to take our events even there. And we have about 12 DSU students who were hired to organize and lead these events in a near-peer mentoring model. Okay. Ashley, can you? Oh, thank you. So after that comes the Cyber Together. This is where we want all our community to feel that they're together. And research shows that positive role models are key to support and engage these students in their interest in cybersecurity. And the cyber leaders that are hosting these events are DSU collegiate women who are impacting girls and kids from K to grade. While Cyber Days are mostly focused on middle school girls and high school girls, Cyber Together places an importance on elementary school kids because they also need to be cyber aware. They also need exposure to cybersecurity. And at nearly every event, we have at least one parent or caregiver or teacher that says, I wish I had something like this when I was growing up or when they were younger. And now they don't have to because they see what we're doing and they love getting involved and they love learning with their kids. And with this, I will let Katie take it away.
Nice. Ashley, I think we skipped, there we go. So I want to tell you about our Cyber Camp that we have. And as Ashley mentioned, her and Pam really started out Cyber with our Cyber Camp, and it has grown exponentially since then. I became involved with Cyber several years ago because I was looking for a way to marry together my history and my background as a middle school and high school teacher with my new career focus in cybersecurity and cybersecurity education. And Cyber Camp just was where I was meant to be. And as I worked with them, and specifically working in the cryptography courses, I really started to see the excitement that kids can have as they're learning these concepts and going into something that isn't taught at school, because you don't always learn cryptography or even some of the concepts, the foundational concepts of ciphers. You don't always learn how to code. You don't always learn forensics. They're taught in special circumstances at school sometimes, but here we're able to bring a really exciting learning programs to kids and these learning modules to kids so that they can grow in their cybersecurity. And one of the best things that I have loved about this was last year being able to bring my own daughter to camp with us because she hit the age where she was eligible to come to camp. And she met so many amazing friends from all across the country who also have an interest in cybersecurity. Now, my daughter doesn't know if she wants to be a cybersecurity professional when she grows up. This week, I think it's an interior designer, but she understands the foundation needed in any career, in any role that a person is in with cybersecurity. So as she took the knowledge that she learned from camp back to school, she was able to tell her teachers in school that the passwords they were assigning them weren't secure and to request that they change their password policies. She was able to talk with her friends about what they were posting on their social media and sharing with other people online, or even the fact that taking pictures in bathrooms isn't a great idea. And she was really able to bring back the cybersecurity awareness that is needed in this age group, not just the students who want to pursue a cybersecurity job, but also just to be cyber safe in the world. But we also have another program, our Rocket Girls Cyberspace Camp, which is funded through AT&T. Or every year, or except this year, I guess we should say, we take 11th and 12th grade girls down to NASA Kennedy Space Center in Orlando, and we introduce them to industry professionals. And they're not just professionals, these are industry experts who are really game changers in the field of cybersecurity. So they're able to meet people like Cynthia Hetherington, who is a world-renowned open source intelligence investigator working with numerous law enforcement across the country, or other ones who have mapped the internet or who are working in penetration testing and ethical hacking. And they're able to go in and see what those professionals are doing, learn about that field. And as these students who have already, most of them decided that they do want to pursue a cybersecurity career and especially a cybersecurity degree, they're able to help hone in on what field of cybersecurity might most interest them. They're also able to develop just a strong network of friends to help encourage them as they go through their education. And one of the greatest stories that I have from our last camp that we did in person on this was one of the students met actually Cynthia Hetherington and was able to get an internship for her first summer after her freshman year of college, which is something kind of unheard of in at least in the field, without really having any cybersecurity classes yet. She was just doing general education courses. She was able to go in and work side by side with an industry professional and learn more about the field that she wanted to pursue. So these programs are really helping not only to encourage girls to get into cybersecurity, but also empowering them and motivating them to stay in cybersecurity.
Well, thank you, Kanti and Katie, for discussing different aspects of our program. One thing I would mention is that with our camp every year, we have routinely, 200 people on a waiting list trying to get in. And so the demand is there all across the country. And so that is awesome. So what has this meant for the Beacom College of Computer and Cyber Sciences? Right now, I am the interim vice president of research at Dakota State University, but I'm also the associate dean of the Beacom College and professor of digital forensics. And looking at the trends that we've seen in the classroom has actually been pretty eye-opening. In the fall of 2013, we had 10 women in our computer science undergraduate program. And in the fall of 19, we had 53. That's a 430% increase in those 6 years. Within cyber operations, in the fall of 13, we had 8 women. In the fall of 19, we had 70, which is a 775% increase. And in network security, in the fall of 13, we had 3 women. In the fall of 19, we had 23 women. And so cumulatively, we've had a 595% increase in women studying in these 3 undergraduate programs in the Beacom College of Computer and Cyber Sciences. Fortunately, we have a phenomenal president at Dakota State, Dr. Yosei Marie Griffiths, and she knows that the investment that we're making in these initiatives at DSU, it's a long road until it pays dividends. We've spent 7 years cultivating this community in order to get to the point where we've seen increases like this. But it's little tweaks that make this happen. It's branding, it's messaging. Look at our people here; they're women. Okay, I couldn't find a graph that looked like a woman, and so I just had it made. Like, okay, so as we're discussing these careers, I need an image that's a woman, and that matters. That absolutely matters. So I'm actually going to turn it back over to Katie, who's going to talk about how you can get started in some of the resources that we have. And I'm going to go over to our website. Instead of having a static PowerPoint, just bring you right into our website.
Right. So one of the ways that you can easily get started in finding resources that you can use immediately in schools is going to our resources tab on our website at cyber.org. And here we have curated and categorized the organizations and resources that excel in computer and cyber sciences. So we have truly taken the guesswork out of what's available. So you don't have to go to Google to find resources that will work. But you can come to our resources tab and see the leaders in cybersecurity education and cybersecurity practice. You can also go to our YouTube channel that we have. And on our YouTube channel, which is a brand new platform that we're using this year, because when the pandemic hit, we did not want our path to stop, our pathway to these young girls to stop. We wanted to meet them where they were. And so we transitioned and pivoted to a virtual platform where we have now created numerous videos that can be used immediately in classrooms or with students. We've taken a lot of the programs that we used to take in person to classrooms and put them into videos, such as the digital footprint, so students can understand what their digital footprint is, as well as how to manage and secure it, or other things like the password hashing and cracking that Ashley mentioned. We've also got videos over cyber terms, and these are cybersecurity vocabulary that students might want to learn more about, especially if they're interested and going into a specific career role, or just understanding what is a hacker, what is a penetration tester, what is a capture the flag. So all of these topics are common terms, and they can come here and see these short videos that help tell them about what the vocabulary means. Now, the program that is really near and dear to my heart here is our CyPER Conversations program. And as the pandemic hit and Confi and I were looking at ways that we could still reach these girls and empower them in cybersecurity, we wanted to bring them. We know that young girls can't be what they can't see. And so we really went in and found industry leaders, women who are breaking stereotypes all around the world. And I do mean that literally all around the world, because we have had speakers from numerous countries. We have had attendees from numerous countries come. And we have now, every Wednesday, we have a live program called CyPER Conversations, where we feature one of these amazing women who can come in and tell about their career field or about how they got into that career field and the things that they've had to do to succeed, so that these girls can emulate some of those characteristics and personalities perhaps, but also just get further excited. We've also created podcasts where we go in depth into certain topics, such as penetration testing or 5 tips for women in cybersecurity with Diane Janicek, who is the NSA's commandant for the National Cryptologic School. We have Jyothi Dugar here, who is not only a cybersecurity professional, but she's also a wellness expert. And so she really does a lot of stuff of making sure that we're continually teaching girls to get offline and to manage not only their online health, but also their offline health. And we even have our Be Cyber Aware program, where we are constantly looking at ways to help increase cyber awareness for younger students. And these go for all of that K to 12 grade range, being able to understand what it means to be cyber aware and how they can strengthen their cyber hygiene. And then the last thing that we have within all of this is our social media, where we constantly tell people to go and follow us on our social media, because we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then making sure that we send out tips for them. As Confi mentioned, our CyPER Seconds programs, we're sending out tips that they can use and can put into practice immediately. Ashley, or Confi, I am going to let you go into, I think we're at question time.
Yes, so thank you, Katie and Confi, for helping share what it is that we're doing at Dakota State and the different initiatives that we have and how it's really impacting our student body population for our undergraduate programs and graduate as well, but that's what we were focusing on for this event. And so now we will open it up for questions. I have the chat window up. But if it works out better for people, you can reach out to us directly. Let's see. I believe on our website, we actually have our email addresses too. Maybe there's a contact us as well that you'd be able to put that out there, but I'll happily put my email there. You know, it's pretty exciting for Pam and I to see that our passion for this field has been reciprocated, that women are seeing that they belong in this field and that they can contribute to this field, because that's what we want them to know, is that they are an important part and have a lot to contribute. So we are very thankful for the support that we've been given for this. All right, Brian. Yeah, let us know if you need anything, Brian, please. We have lots of curriculum and activities. Oh, you're with Coastline. Well, that's wonderful. We're connected with them too. I think you'll start to see that it really is truly, it's a fantastic community. Well, thank you for coming to hear our presentation today and have us listen to our reasons why we started our program, the initiatives that we've kicked off, and the results that we've seen. Hopefully we've given you some resources that you can use as you develop programs like this, but please feel free to reach out to us and we will help you as much as we can. And thank you, Katie and Kanthi. It's a privilege to work with you.